Hi everybody, Cindy Ashton here. I'm recovering from a wicked cold, so just bear with me in case I break out into not song for once, but break out into coughing fits. Let's talk about boundaries today, and this is fresh in my brain because I was just dealing with this morning, and I wanted to capture it because here's the deal. Do you know how to set boundaries? And if you know how to set boundaries, do you have the right boundaries in place? And when you do set your boundaries, is it coming from anger or hostility, or maybe you're over explaining too much or giving away too much information or begging or diminishing yourself when you're setting those boundaries? All those things are losing you power. So how do you speak and communicate from your power and set those boundaries? So I'm about to go into that and what happened today and give you some lessons. But before that, if you are finding that you are loving this information, Speak from Your Power Live is coming up. It is a small group intensive in New York in December and in Los Angeles in March. We are literally role playing all kinds of business scenarios. And if setting boundaries is an issue for you, we can role play that for you and really get you mastering this. And by the way, the event in March is happening in LA because somebody is apparently considered a celebrity and was invited to walk the red carpet at the Oscars party. OMG. Anyways, okay. So here's what happened this morning. Well, this happened in the last week. So this guy on LinkedIn sees a post. He picks up the phone, calls me. I pick up the phone, which I rarely ever do. And as soon as I hear his name, I have a flashback to a few years ago when I was not very good at setting boundaries. And I allowed myself to get drained for 45 minutes from this guy. And I just said, hey, listen, I'm walking out the door, which I really was. And I said, I will message you on LinkedIn on how we connect. So I messaged him later that day and I said, thank you. So I was very gracious. Always be gracious and professional. Thank you so much for the call and for thinking of me. I'm curious, what is that one thing you wanted to have a conversation with me about? And then we can look at scheduling a 15-minute call. So I was very clear on what's that one thing you want to talk about and what's that conversation piece, or it's going to be 15 minutes. And this is a boundary I have with anybody. Unless someone's a client, a dear friend, or family, I need to understand what the purpose of that call is so that I don't waste my time, I don't waste your time, and vice versa, right? So you have to figure out what are the right boundaries for you. And listen, I've got business colleagues who would take a phone call from anybody at any time of day and spend hours on the phone. That's not the right lifestyle for me, period. So part of you setting boundaries is being very clear on what your boundaries are that work for you and your lifestyle. All right. So either way, he didn't respond, but instead he left me a message last week when I literally couldn't get out of bed. And then he left me a second message. And here's the thing. He broke my boundary twice. I asked him to give me information, and in his message, he did say, we have lots of mutual interests. Well, here's the thing. Again, this is my boundary. You need to think about yours. I don't just have conversations with people who say, we have mutual interests. For heaven's sakes, I would be on the phone all day. I need to know what specifically you want to talk about because otherwise you're going to waste my time. And so had he left that message or actually respected my boundary and responded in LinkedIn and said, hey, Cindy, I had looked on your LinkedIn profile. I thought this was really cool that you did a episode on body shaming for your TV show. I'm doing a project that's related, love to connect and, network a bit. I may have considered that request because it would have shown that it was an intelligent request. And again, this is my boundary. You might have different boundaries. So it was really interesting. He'd left me these two messages and he was pretty hostile in the second one. And here's another very big key for you. Big key for you is how you respond. So I just texted him that, this morning. Excuse me. I just texted him this morning and I said, thank you for your two messages. Please, as I had mentioned in my LinkedIn message, what's the one specific thing that you want to have a conversation with me before we can go ahead and schedule? And again, he didn't respect my boundary. And here's how I dealt with it. It would have been really easy for me to be judgmental and be hostile because here's the truth. He just communicates differently than I do. So I simply responded and I said, thank you again for your text and your call and your calls. So I acknowledged him. I said, I said we have different ways of communicating, so this isn't a fit for us to work together. There was no anger, there was no hate, but also notice that I didn't over explain. I didn't go, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you last week, I was sick. I didn't give an excuse. There was no excuses. I gave my boundary. He didn't listen. So this is really, really important. I didn't make him wrong. And this is because he's not wrong. He just has a different way of communicating. It just doesn't work for me. And so with you setting those boundaries, understanding what works for you, and being able to communicate from a place of being kind but neutral and not over explaining. Now, if you're going, Cindy, this is freaking awesome, how do I implement? You've got a couple of choices. You've got New York and LA, 1 day intensive role playing sales conversations, networking conversations, presenting at the front of the room, presenting on camera. It is a jam-packed small group, freaking awesome, going to be so much fun. Go to speakfromyourpowerlive.com. The other choice is you can book a call with me. So there you go. You can schedule a call with me. And guess how long it is? It will be 15 minutes. So if you're curious about working together in another capacity, maybe the 1 days don't work, but you want to do more private work, you want to do something else, go to speakwithcindy.com. I respect your time. You respect my time. So it's an initial 15-minute call. We get to know each other. I get to know a bit of what's going on with you. If it looks like we're a good fit, then we can invest more time together. All right. So hope you have a great night. I'm going to go make some tea now and continue to rest. All right. Have a great day, everyone.